His first order of business, the boys are making some moves. Billy's got some hires. I think he's set to hire today. Vinnie Sinceri, I believe is how it's pronounced. I'm probably butchering this, young man. Vinnie Sinceri. Yeah, whatever. Anywho, bring it in. Now, people maybe start panicking if you haven't been following the situation closely. It's like, is he going to be the DC? Is that what's happening? Like, what's going on? No, he's not interviewing, from my understanding, to be the next defensive coordinator. He is interviewing, it seems like, to be part of, to work with that safeties and secondary alongside Will Harris. What people kind of forget, and again, I think there may be some other movements with linebackers as well, because keep in mind, Armstrong and Ron Roberts kind of also took on those roles, because Bateman was a linebacker coach. He obviously left. We never replaced it. Ron Roberts, well, technically Ron Roberts did, right? He came in as that co-executive Pillsbury Doughboy manager, co-defensive side guy, whatever. It had 19 different titles. One of his titles being the linebacker coach. So he had that. And then Armstrong, when he originally came on, I think, or at some point, I don't recall, it's moved so much, but he was part of that secondary, right? He helped coach, whether it was the safeties or the cornerbacks. Then, of course, we brought in Will Harris. Did he oversee all of it? I think there was probably some confusion there. Anywho, Vinny is set to interview to be alongside of that. Reasons I love this hire, reasons I'm a little, I can't say reserved, but it's a thought that we'll get into that a lot of people bring up with coaches and what they normally do. But he played at Alabama, played in the NFL, worked alongside Belichick, Bill and Steve Belichick, DC, who's now at UNC. That UNC team's going to be really fun to watch. I saw his contract, him being Bill Belichick for UNC, that it's like a $10 million buyout until June of 2025, which is in 6 months, and then it drops down to $1 million. I think he's leaving himself an opportunity out, if I had to guess. Could be wrong, but it just feels that way. But Steve Belichick going to UNC, I love that. I love, bro, that mullet. I love that guy. The guy brings a ton of energy to the sideline. I'm excited to see what the Belichick boys are going to be able to do out there in North Carolina. I digress. So this young man coming in, Coach Vinny, was at Washington last year. Obviously, we know Will Harris came from that era as well. Well, Chargers in Washington, coached the safeties there last season, and again, of course, worked in that NFL atmosphere. So we talk with Zach, and we talk with a lot of these guys, Zach Goodall, not there, Zach Alberverdi and Cam. Again, the focus seems to be NFL kind of centric guys. Another NFL guy, another Patriots guy, mind you. And I love this hire. Again, organizations like the New England Patriots, especially under that Bill Belichick era, understand a winning culture, understand what it takes. They were at least there to witness it, right? They were a part of that building process. And I think that's very important, especially if you're trying to emulate that into your culture. And it clearly seems to have a type, him being Billy Napier. So we'll see how it all plays out. Again, he's interviewing today. And he was recently hired by Jacksonville State to be the defensive coordinator as well at 33. So kind of working his way up, making some moves, turning some heads. Could be kind of that new up and coming. Again, I'm not too familiar with Vinny. I got to be perfectly honest with you. But people are probably thinking, is he going to be the new defensive coordinator? Because, of course, the question is Ron Roberts saying all these things are still left unnoticed, untouched. We don't know what's going to happen. But we'll love this hire. I don't think it's going to knock any socks off. But this is something, again, talked to my buddy last night. We were going back to this offensive coordinator thing. I think the defense, although it had turnaround last year, is a bigger mess. This show is, of course, brought to you by BetUS. And right now, when you use the code YouTube150 at BetUS.com, you get 150% back on your first deposit, then 125 on your next two. And with the football playoffs, college football championships and playoffs happening, and then March Madness right around the corner, there is not a better time right now than to sign up for BetUS.com and use that code to maximize your return. Check it out, BetUS.com. Use the code YouTube150. Now back to the show. Get after it. Then I think we can see from the outside, which is a compliment, I would say, to the team and to the coaching staff. I mean, we saw the mess, I think, earlier on, but I think there's a lot of missing pieces over there. There's a lot of guys wearing a lot of different hats. And so if you can eliminate some of those hats, maybe that's how Billy is viewing the situation. He's like, look, I know, but my play calling hasn't been great, but I'm still trying to fix this side of the ball, right? And I'm not quite ready to give up the reins yet, knowing that this side isn't just perfect. So we'll see. We'll see. Chip Kelly is interviewing for what? The Jaguar job? I did see that if that's what we're talking about. Not for here. Not for here. So this is the next big splashy, sexy appeal hire for the Gators at the very moment. Again, we've got 5 days, 6 days, 31st, where some contracts are going to expire. The major one being Rob Sale. So keep an eye on that one. And you're probably thinking, well, we don't have anybody that was to replace on that defensive side. But again, we did because we didn't have anybody. Godspeed, my boy. What's up, baby? Good to see you, man. Smash the like button and subscribe. Next, this one's an interesting one. So the next one we got here is old Steve Spurrier Jr. Buddy Martin. Gotta get a shout out to the man. I saw this man's tweet, and then I've seen more of this on 3 and Zach and those guys, and Keith talked about it on their show. Those boys always do great work over there, covering the Gators, talking all things about it. But Buddy broke it first, I think. I don't know. I said to Dave, I go, what the hell? I just seen from the clouds. Buddy Martin coming in here says, expect to hear today or this weekend that there's going to be a Spurrier on Billy Napier's coaching staff this fall. So he's calling a shot. Buddy's saying it's a done deal, but it ain't even like a if, it's a done deal. Says Spurrier Jr. Bubba joining as an analyst, but not yet confirmed by UF, makes many of us happy, but nobody more than Jerry. So the kind of the Bull Gators been around for quite some time to get a little bit of that Spurrier vibe back into it. And get Spurrier Jr. here was at Tulsa currently, or last year anyways, as a co-offensive coordinator. Again, he had like 3 titles as well. So like this a lot. And remember last year, the rule that changed, you can have analysts on the sideline now. So you got to wonder how much of is this a play to come help facilitate the offense a little bit. Maybe he may not get that OC title, but definitely something to kind of keep in mind, to keep an eye on, as somebody that could have a factor into that. Again, OC at Tulsa, obviously coached with his dad at I think he coached with dad at South Carolina. Could there be more here? Just him coming as an offensive analyst. Interesting. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. You wonder, is it dad calling in a favor? I know there's been a lot of talks. I know there were talks last year of like, hey, go get Spurrier Jr. when we were in this OC conversation before. So bring someone like this on that has that experience, that's been around the game for quite some time, obviously possesses that Spurrier mentality a little bit, to be able to come in and have impact, to have a say on the offense. I like it. I even said, I was talking with, again, my buddy last night about this offensive coordinator thing, because it's going to be a point of conversation throughout the season. But I brought up of like, look, I don't have an answer of why or why he didn't, but I try to, we play the devil's advocate. One person always chooses a side. We try to argue it to kind of understand, why this is the way that it is. And I go, there could, we don't know how much Billy actually called during the games. Like maybe Callaway called more than we think. We genuinely don't know. Like there was times where the game would flow and you're like, yeah, the things are cooking. And I would tweet out when things would just flop. And it's like, all right, Billy called back for the play. Like there was definitely, it just felt like things were different from times during the game. And so that's why, I wonder. And I think that's kind of on Billy not wanting to put it out there, maybe to protect these guys so they don't take flack. I don't know what it is. I couldn't tell you. But I wonder with him if he were to bring in the Spurrier Jr., if he would have a say or a play or be up in the booth, kind of like Callaway was this past year, right? Maybe he does become just eyes in the skies. Again, not much there on it right now, but we will see again how it all shapes up. It is very interesting. Two moves here for the day. Both moves, if were to happen, would be very, I would think, positive moves in the right direction. Not the splash hires that you guys are thinking about, right? Or maybe looking for. But Will Harris was kind of and Chapman were fit the vibe of Vinnie in a way. Kind of have a lot of places they jumped around. Pretty solid resume. Again, I don't think he's coming in. I think he can only provide value given the fact that we were kind of playing shorthanded on that secondary coaching staff anyways, given the knowledge that we do know. And bringing in, again, someone like a Spurrier on the offensive side of things that we've had our feelings about. All good things. All good things. Again, this kind of goes back to that patient thing. I think people are still aren't going to be as ecstatic because they want the big splash, but This ability functions. I think we have to learn that and take that as it will. Muddy says Dave Waters and others said the Chiefs defensive line coach is someone to watch for new DC Joe Cullen. Interesting stuff. That was not a name that I've heard, but love that. Love that there is options out there. Look, again, people we talk about that all the time with this defensive coordinator information. Love the fact again, Kansas City Chiefs. I would say their sweet spot is the defense and the D line. I mean that is what's got them to this point, in my opinion, this year, and honestly, won a Super Bowl last year. Their defense really just ramped up the last couple of years. They've become the. I was comparing them to the New England Patriots of old. Mahomes just wasn't really the Mahomes we've seen in the past. Kind of beat up a little bit, just dinking and dallying around. Still has the ability to move, get around, but just not too many big weapons. He's got a big tight end, Travis Kelsey, Gronk, that he can go to in a clutch moment. And the defense, they're one of four teams that haven't scored more than 30 points, I think, all season long up until like the last few games. And there's other three teams are like Raiders, Jags, like teams that won like 4 games. And obviously Chiefs won damn near AFC Championship, not scoring more than 30 a game. That defense has been elite. Okay. And the reason I bring that up is obviously Florida averages 28 and a half. So if Chiefs can do it, maybe we just go get ourselves a defense like the Chiefs and we'll be good to go. So we'll see. Joe Cullen was Urban's DC at Jacksonville. Well, that was a complete cluster. So we'll blame that one on Herb in that regard. So look, if that is a possibility, I love it. And they possesses an NFL stature. I love seeing these colleges really trying to. Again, this isn't unheard of or not known, but it really seems like they're tapping into it more and more. And you are seeing this transition of college football turning into a version of the NFL. I feel like all the right things are happening to have this thing function outside of the contracts that need to be adjusted, which we'll talk about here in just a little bit in regards to this Ohio State stuff and obviously portal madness. So Chiefs offense consists of Mahomes taking off and sliding late to draw 15 yards penalty. Yeah, that's true too. That's true too. Call Me Old Fashioned says layout looks good, my man. Appreciate you, Bo. Call Me Old Fashioned is live in 45, boys. But he's pouring it up, making a nasty drink. Apparently the hottest cocktail on the market. Is what the kids are saying. The streets are saying anyways. So, good stuff. Florida boys moving all in the right direction, I think, so far. And I like the fact that although we've been a little slow, it's starting to come full circle.